My name is Corinne Latham, and at my father's annual summer family party, my parents didn't bother lowering their voices when they said it. She's always been the family failure. They didn't whisper. They didn't hesitate. They said it right in front of my father's new boss. The backyard of our Raleigh home was packed, string lights glowing, the grill smoking with ribs, neighbors mingling between folding tables draped in navy cloth. It was supposed to be a celebration of Dad's promotion at Wakefield Logistics. Everyone was in high spirits. Except me. I stood near the drink table, nursing a warm lemonade, trying not to draw attention. At 33, I had learned how to blend into corners during these gatherings. The forgotten daughter from his first marriage. The one Dad didn't know what to do with. Mom died when I was 16, ovarian cancer. Dad remarried Melissa 7 months later, and from then on, everything revolved around her 2 children, Evan and Haley. They were the real family. I was the leftover. So when Dad pulled his new boss, Mr. Carver, into the center of the yard for introductions, I already felt myself shrinking. Guests gathered around like we were acting out some kind of warped play. "And this," my father announced far too proudly, "is Corinne the family failure." Laughter rolled out instantly. Melissa covered her mouth, pretending to be embarrassed but snickering. Evan smirked. Haley whispered loudly, "She still hasn't figured out life." A few cousins elbowed each other. Every eye turned to me. But Mr. Carver didn't laugh. He didn't smile politely. He didn't nod along. Instead, he folded his arms and studied my parents with a strange, quiet amusement. Finally, he said one sentence. "Interesting. Because she's the only one in your entire family I've actually heard good things about." The yard went dead silent. My father stiffened. Melissa's smirk vanished. Evan nearly dropped his beer. Mr. Carver stepped toward me, extending a hand. "I've read the campaign proposals you submitted last month," he said. "Impressive work. Sharp, original." I blinked, stunned. Dad choked. Melissa grabbed his arm. "Mr. Carver continued, "I had no idea she was your daughter, but now that I do." He turned toward my parents, his expression turning cold. "I'm starting to understand why her talent was overlooked." A murmur rippled through the crowd. My father sputtered. "Well, she's always been difficult." "No," Mr. Carver interrupted firmly. "She's capable, and unlike some people, she didn't need to brag to get my attention." Evan's jaw locked. Haley looked like she might cry. And for the first time in my life, I didn't shrink. I didn't apologize. I didn't defend them. I simply stood taller. Mr. Carver nodded at me. "Come see me Monday morning. We have opportunities for people like you. People like me. Not failures. Not leftovers. People who survived being underestimated." My parents? They never smiled again that night. Evan got everything growing up. Private soccer coaches. Custom cleats every season. A brand new Jeep Wrangler on his 16th birthday, bright blue, parked right in the same driveway where I was told to be grateful for what you have. I got hand-me-downs. A faded backpack. A bus pass. Melissa packed cute lunches for Evan and Haley, little handwritten notes, neatly sliced fruit, sandwiches cut into perfect stars. Mine? A peanut butter sandwich in a wrinkled grocery bag. If she remembered it all. Dad Daniel never corrected any of it. He'd ruffle Evan's hair with pride, say, "That's my boy," while I scrubbed dishes or mowed the lawn to earn my own gas money. When I needed braces, Melissa said we couldn't afford them. 2 months later, Haley got Invisalign. I learned early that asking meant being ignored. So I stopped asking. College was the breaking point. I had been accepted to NC State on a partial scholarship, my dream since middle school. Dad sat me down in the den one evening, expression rehearsed, and told me the family budget was tight. Melissa wanted Haley in a private performing arts academy. Evan needed tutoring for AP exams. My scholarship didn't cover housing, so Dad said I'd have to commute from Raleigh to campus every day, an hour each way on overcrowded buses. I did it for 2 semesters. Worked nights at a diner. Slept 4 hours a night. Meanwhile, Haley got a dorm room, full meal plan, spending money, and a new laptop for her journalism major. Dad bragged about her classes at every party, while I carried trays of greasy fries to pay for my textbooks. When I finally dropped out to work full-time, Melissa told the neighbors, college just wasn't for her. Couldn't handle the pressure. Dad said nothing, just nodded like it was true. I moved out at 20, into a tiny studio in Cary above a laundromat. No goodbye, no help with rent. Haley texted me once, guess you're on your own now. She was 11 then, still young, but even she already understood the hierarchy of our house. And years passed. I built a life from scratch. Evan coasted. Haley watched. Whenever I visited, Melissa cooked 2 separate dinners, steak for her kids, canned soup for me, served with a smile that never reached her eyes. Dad, head of a community nonprofit, loved preaching family values at fundraisers. But loving your own child? That was apparently optional. Now, sitting on the floor of my late mother's townhouse in Cary, the USB drive open on my screen, everything clicked into place. Every idea I had poured myself into during those lonely nights in that cramped studio, every branding deck, every slogan, every piece of creative work, I found it here again. Under Evan's name. Stolen. Repackaged. Praised. I closed the laptop slowly, the velvet pouch still warm in my hand. Mom had kept this. She had known. She had tried to protect me in the only way she could before she died. The next morning, I called Layla Reed, my freshman year roommate, the girl who taught me how to make $5 last a week. She worked odd hours at a print shop now. She picked up on the second ring, voice raspy from a late shift. I didn't give details, just said I needed help with something digital. She told me to come over. Coffee was already brewing. Her apartment sat above a tire shop on the edge of downtown Raleigh, about 20 minutes from Cary. I parked behind a stack of old retreads and climbed the metal stairs. Layla opened the door wearing sweats, messy bun, and handed me a mug that read, World's Okest Designer. And for the first time in years, I felt like someone was actually on my side. Layla and I sat at her tiny kitchen table, the metal legs wobbling every time one of us breathed too hard. My laptop sat between us. I slid the velvet pouch and the USB toward her. She raised an eyebrow, but didn't ask questions, just plugged it in. The files loaded instantly. Layla scrolled through pages of campaigns, proposals, graphics, taglines, her eyes narrowing with every swipe. Then she let out a long, low whistle. These are yours? It wasn't a question. I nodded. Every single one. She leaned back, arms crossed. So what do you need? Metadata trace? File history? Server pulls? That's why I'm here. I have today. Layla cracked her knuckles. Then buckle up. She worked like she was born for this, pulling timestamps, analyzing embedded user signatures, cross-referencing font history, even checking color code patterns. By the time our coffee had gone lukewarm, she had built a full timeline. 5 years of my work uploaded to the Raleigh Community Broadcasting server, all under Evan Latham's login. My stepbrother. The same Evan who thought I was still living above a laundromat struggling to make rent. I stared at the screen, my past flashing back in pieces. My first real break came at 22. I'd freelanced for a small landscaping firm outside Durham. They paid me $200 and a tank of gas. I designed a branding campaign that doubled their bookings in 2 months. Word spread. Soon I was working with HVAC companies, electrical contractors, roofing collectives. I learned contracts, pitching, negotiation, everything on my own. At 25, I registered Latham Creative Works out of a cramped co-working space in downtown Raleigh. 1 desk, 1 chair, no savings, but a dream sharper than hunger. I hired my first employee. She quit 2 weeks later. I didn't blame her. Payroll was late 3 times that month, and I slept under my desk twice. But the work kept coming. A statewide utilities contract. A rebrand for a major construction group. Revenue hit 6 figures, then 7. By 30, Latham Creative Works cleared $11 million a year, with clients stretching from Atlanta to Richmond. And I didn't post a single update online. My family never noticed. Dad once asked what I did for work. I said, marketing. He nodded and walked away. Evan? He bragged constantly about his producer title at the local station, never realizing the parent company listed on his paycheck was mine. Layla finally closed the laptop. You didn't just build a career, she said quietly. You built an empire. And Evan's been stealing it 1 file at a time. I rubbed my temples, trying to slow the throb behind my eyes. The numbers didn't lie. Evan had access to Latham Creative's internal servers because Raleigh Community Broadcasting was a subsidiary, acquired quietly during an expansion phase 2 years ago. I'd approved the contract myself. He'd logged in, using generic team credentials, copied the files, stripped the metadata, and passed them off as his own. Beckett never saw it coming. Why would he? Evan was just another junior producer. Polite, confident, background checked but unimpressive. A nobody until he wasn't. I thought about those nights back in the original co-working space. The 2 a.m. client calls. The panic after a crash wiped my pitch deck, and I rebuilt it from memory in 4 hours. Every inch of my career I had earned. No family money. No favors. No net beneath me. Just me, a laptop, and a refusal to give up. Layla poured another round of coffee, her sweatshirt sleeves bunched at her wrists. "What now?" she asked gently. I didn't answer. Instead, I stared out the window at the Raleigh skyline, a city I had quietly built a reputation in without my family ever noticing. "Now," I said finally, "I decide how this ends." That's when my phone buzzed. It was a text from Evan. "Family BBQ this weekend. Bring dessert. Beckett's coming." I read it twice. Dessert. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't just been fired in front of my father by Mr. Carver. I didn't respond. Instead, I reopened the USB files. Layla had already exported the metadata to a spreadsheet columns of file names, timestamps, and user IDs. The earliest theft went back 5 years, right after my first big contract, the Durham Safety Campaign. The one where I mailed Dad a thank you photo of the signs installed across the job sites. Evan must have seen it then. I scrolled further. There it was, a Houston pipeline rebrand. My pitch, my colors, my copy now broadcast in a morning segment, credited to Evan. Another? A public safety PSA I created for a North Carolina nonprofit. He'd swapped my images for drone footage and aired it under his name. Layla leaned over. "He didn't even change the font kerning," she muttered. "Lazy." I checked the server logs again. Evan's uploads happened after 10 p.m., the same nights he claimed to be working late. Each stolen file aired within a week. Sponsors renewed. Ratings jumped. He got bonuses. He got promoted. He got the corner office. And me? I kept building my empire in silence. Until now. One file stood out. A polished 30-second ad for a refinery turnaround. And I knew exactly where it aired and who it impressed. Subscribe if you're standing with me, because the next part of this story is where everything I've uncovered finally comes to light. Oh, I had spent 3 weeks crafting that refinery spot, sourcing B-roll from 3 states, stitching drone footage with interviews, syncing every line of voiceover to updated safety stats. It was one of the strongest campaigns I'd ever produced. Evan aired it exactly, right down to my transitions. The only thing he added was a cheesy laugh track at the end, an insult to work that had taken years of skill to develop. When the refinery director called praising our team's exceptional work, I'd thanked him, assuming Beckett had spread credit fairly. But the original brief still sat in my archive, my signature dated at the bottom. Evan's aired version bore a shiny new footer. Produced by Evan Latham, Raleigh Community Broadcasting. No mention of my agency. No mention of me. Layla exported the evidence, encrypting everything on 3 drives. "This is ironclad," she said. "IP theft. Plagiarism. He's finished." I nodded, already thinking ahead. Evan still believed Beckett was his mentor, his ladder upward. He had no idea Beckett reported to me. No clue the station operated under my ownership. No idea every idea he flaunted had come from my years of sacrifice. I closed the folder. The family BBQ invitation still glowed on my phone. Evan wanted everyone to pretend nothing had happened to parade Beckett in front of Dad and Melissa. Perfect. I typed back. "I'll bring the laptop." The backyard filled quickly. Dad worked the grill, smoke curling above reused red and gold balloons. Melissa arranged bowls of coleslaw and cornbread, adjusting her apron like she was hosting a gala. Haley lounged in a lawn chair, scrolling her phone, waving occasionally at cousins. Evan moved between guests, laughing too loudly, gripping his beer as if it held him together. I carried my laptop bag across the yard. The dessert I was supposed to bring stayed in the car. Beckett arrived in a navy blazer, shaking Dad's hand and offering Melissa a polite nod. Evan rushed to his side, gripping his arm with forced enthusiasm. "Everyone, this is my boss, Beckett Lang," he announced. "He's the reason I'm killing it at the station." Dad puffed up. "Hear that? Our boy's a star." Melissa beamed. "Finally, someone recognizes talent." I set the laptop on the table, flipped it open, and hit play. Side-by-side comparisons filled the screen, my originals on the left, Evan's aired segments on the right. Same fonts, same taglines, same cuts. Timestamps glowed bright red under Evan's login, and the backyard went silent. Forks froze mid-air. A cousin stopped mid-bite, macaroni salad dangling from his fork. Evan's smile crumpled instantly. "What is this?" Beckett asked, leaning closer to my laptop. He scrolled slowly, his expression sharpening with every file. Dad squinted at the screen. Melissa's hand flew to her mouth, her apron twisting between her fingers. I kept my voice steady. 5 years of my campaigns stolen and aired under Evan's name. Evan lunged for the laptop. "Turn it off. That's private." Beckett moved between us. "Private? This is company property." Conversations died around the tables. "For clarity," he continued, "I don't run Raleigh Community Broadcasting. I manage the Raleigh branch for Latham Creative Works." Melissa blinked. "Latham? What?" Dad frowned. "Never heard of it." Beckett turned to me, deliberate and calm. "Corinne owns the parent company. I report directly to her." The silence was immediate. Haley dropped her phone. It cracked against the patio stones. Dad's grilling tongs slipped from his hand, sparks jumping. Melissa lost her grip on the coleslaw tray, the contents splattering across the grass. Evan stared at me, stunned. "You're my boss?" I held his gaze. "I always have been." "I have." Beckett withdrew a folder from his blazer-printed logs, metadata reports, timestamps. He handed copies to Dad, Melissa, and anyone reaching for the truth. "Intellectual property theft, plagiarism, breach of contract," he announced. "Effective immediately. Evan Latham is terminated." A ripple of gasps spread through the yard. "Security will escort you from all Latham facilities starting Monday," he added. Evan's mouth opened and closed without sound. His beer slipped from his hand, foam spreading across the tablecloth. Dad finally spoke. "Corinne, you built all this?" I nodded. Papers moved hand to hand, reactions shifting from shock to disbelief. A cousin whispered, "She owns the whole company?" Haley stared at her cracked phone like she'd never seen me before. Melissa looked back and forth between me and the documents. "How long?" "Long enough," I answered. Beckett faced Evan again. "Pack your desk by Monday. HR will send your final check minus restitution for misrepresented campaigns." Evan staggered back, beer stains spreading across his shirt. "This is a joke," he whispered. But no one laughed. "You can't," Evan choked out. "I just did," I replied. The grill hissed behind Dad, meat turning black on the grates. Red and gold balloons swayed in the humid Raleigh breeze, brushing the fence like they wanted to escape too. No one moved to comfort him. Cousins stepped back, avoiding his eyes. Haley hugged her knees on a lawn chair, silent and pale. I closed the laptop. The screen faded to black like the party itself. Dad cleared his throat, but nothing came out. Melissa scraped coleslaw off her shoes, cheeks burning with embarrassment. Evan stood alone at the center of the yard, the celebration dissolving around him. Beckett tucked the folder under his arm. "I'll handle the paperwork," he said, matter of fact. I slung the laptop bag over my shoulder and walked toward the gate. Dad knocked the next evening. He stood on my porch suit, rumpled, tie loosened, holding a crisp-edged envelope. "We need to talk," he muttered, stepping inside without asking. I shut the door and leaned against it, arms crossed. He paced the living room, tapping the envelope against his leg. "Evan is devastated. That misunderstanding at the barbecue. It wasn't a misunderstanding." He stopped. "He's family. You can't ruin him over some files." "He ruined himself," I said. Dad placed the envelope on the coffee table. $250,000. Inheritance from your mother's side. Take it, drop the claims. Let Beckett reinstate him. I stared at the envelope. You think money fixes theft? It fixes silence, he said, nudging it closer. Sign a non-disclosure. Say the campaigns were collaborative. Everyone walks away clean. I picked it up, heavy paper, check inside. Where did you get this, Dad? He hesitated. Investments. The doorbell chimed again. Haley appeared on the peephole camera. I let her in. She brushed past Dad, gripping her phone. I need to show you something. Dad's jaw tightened. Haley, go home. She ignored him and set the phone on the table. A video feed popped up, grainy, from her dorm. Bank statements, charity ledgers, transfer logs. Her voice trembled. I volunteer at the nonprofit fund Dad manages. $75,000 went missing last year. Dad lunged for the phone. Turn that off. Haley swiped it away. It went, she said, breathing hard, to Evan's condo down payment. I scrolled through Haley's screen and found the transfer labeled consulting fee. The exact day Evan closed on his condo. My stomach twisted. I opened the envelope Dad brought earlier. The check inside wasn't drawn from his personal account. It was from the charity fund he managed. Dad's signature sat bold and blue at the bottom. He backed toward the door, face draining. This is private family business. Haley stepped forward. Embezzlement isn't private. I held up the check. You stole from kids' scholarship money to buy him a condo. Dad's face turned crimson. I protected my child. Which one? Silence choked the room. Haley's phone buzzed again, another document. Audit trail. Board notifications scheduled. Mandatory reporting. Dad grabbed his coat. You'll regret this. He slammed the door so hard the windows rattled. Haley collapsed onto the couch, shaking. I didn't know what else to do. I tore the check in half, then into quarters. The pieces drifted to the floor like falling ash. Then the messages started. Evan's texts came first. Dozens of them, pleading. Please, Corinne, delete the files. I'm sorry. We can fix this. We're still family. Then the voicemails, his voice cracking, desperate. If you don't, I'll tell everyone you're unstable, jealous. Your clients will leave. Latham Creative will fold. I read one, deleted it, and blocked his number. Next came the emails, long paragraphs about loyalty and forgiving each other. Attachments of drafted smear posts. My sister sabotaged my career. Toxic sibling dynamic. Beware Latham Creative. Hashtags ready to detonate. Then Dad's letter arrived, handwritten envelope, charity letterhead inside. Withdraw the claims. Sign the waiver. Or, we go public. Your empire built on lies. Your mother's death used for pity. You'll lose everything. I skimmed the waiver. Non-disclosure, retraction, full release. At the bottom, refuse and we expose everything. Your reputation ends. Finally, Haley emailed. Please listen. Evan's panicking. Dad's terrified. Delete the evidence. We'll forget this. You're still my sister. I forwarded every message to my attorney, Elena Vargas. She called within the hour. Defamation, harassment, emotional manipulation, Elena said, scanning Evan's messages. We'll file a cease and desist today. She drafted the letter formal, sharp, printed on firm stationery. Any further contact, posts, or statements violating non-disparagement will result in legal action for libel, slander, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Cease immediately. I signed, and she sent certified copies to Dad, Melissa, Evan, and Haley. We expected silence. Instead, Evan launched an online smear campaign. Anonymous accounts tagged Latham Creative's clients. Rumor is the CEO steals ideas. Fraud alert. A few clients reached out. I replied with Elena's letter attached. By morning, the posts vanished. Dad tried again, voicemail from a blocked number. You're tearing the family apart. Think of Haley. She looks up to you. I deleted it. Later, security called from the office lobby. Haley stood there, clutching a coffee cup, eyes swollen. Can we talk? Just us? No more talks, I said gently. She left the coffee on the counter. I blocked her too. A week later, the old house in Raleigh appeared on real estate listings. Dad's name still on the deed. Melissa's SUV in the driveway photos. I started packing, donated furniture, hired movers. The Denver branch was ready a clean start. Dad's final letter arrived before I left, written on charity letterhead. I'm sorry, please forgive me. I shredded it, fed it to the fireplace, and watched it curl to ash. Evan's last email followed. You win. I'm nothing now. Spam. Haley texted from a new number. I miss you. Deleted. At dawn, the truck pulled away. Raleigh shrank behind me. Denver rose ahead, mountains sharp against the sky. Before crossing state lines, I changed my number and updated every company contact. 2 clients hesitated, citing optics, but the rest stayed. After Elena circulated a formal statement, revenue dipped briefly, then steadied. Latham Creative didn't fall. Evan's career did. His name vanished from industry databases, blacklisted. No station would touch him. IP theft popped on every background check. He applied to retail stores, coffee shops, delivery services. Rejections piled up. His condo went into foreclosure. He moved into a small studio near the interstate. Neighbors never knew the rising star he pretended to be. Dad faced the nonprofit board. The audit confirmed the missing $75,000. He accepted a plea deal, 3 years probation, restitution, community service at the very fund he'd stolen from. He wore an ankle monitor on grocery runs. Melissa filed for separation. She kept the house, sold the Jeep, and emptied each room piece by piece. Dad rented a bare 1-bedroom downtown. Haley transferred schools and kept her distance from everyone. From Denver, I watched quietly as consequences unfolded. My new office overlooked Union Station trains rumbling below as sunlight hit the glass. Our team grew to 15. Contracts expanded into renewables and tech. Revenue climbed from 11 million to 15. No more threats. No more manipulation. Just peace. Cutting ties wasn't revenge, it was freedom. And finally, it was enough. If you've ever stood alone against people who should have protected you, tell me in the comments. Your support reminds me I wasn't wrong for choosing peace over blood. And if you're facing your own storm, remember this: protect your work, protect your heart, and walk away when loyalty becomes self-destruction.